So in today's video, I'm going to be having a live mentorship call with James. And this is obviously part of the Odys mentorship program. So if you guys do want a call with either myself or with James or any of the other Odys mentors, click the link down below. You can book in with anyone. But in today's video, what you guys will be learning is how James helps monetize websites. So I'm going to be asking him, like, what should I be doing? What should I be looking out for? What type of niches should I be going into for ranking rents? How can I monetize a website? Is it just affiliate? Is it a AdSense website, or is a rank and rent directories? We deep dive into that as well. We also go into the actual SEO structure. So how should I be planning out my website? What silos should I be uploading? What type of links should I be worried about? Especially when it comes to age domains, you don't necessarily need as much backlinks and as much link juice as a brand new domain. So we also go into that, but this is a lot of ground that we cover. So we cover from start to finish, how to monetize a website, what type of monetization that I should go for, what he recommends. I also go into detail as to how he would do outreach to actually acquire a client for that rank and rent. And the last step we also cover is the SEO side as well. So this is a really jam-packed video. And also bear in mind, if you guys do want a free mentorship call, click the first link in the description. It is a landing page built by Odys. All you need to do is submit your name and your email, and you will be submitted into the free giveaway that they are doing for a mentorship call. So today I am joined with James. James is one of the Odys mentors, and as I previously did mention in the video, if you guys do want a free Odys call, make certain to check the link down below and sign up to the mailing list. They're actually giving away a few different mentorship calls. But James, how are you doing?
Yes, very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Thanks for joining me. And obviously, I've decided to pick you out of all of the Odys mentors because you actually have got a lot of experience in the rank and rent industry. I've come to you with a couple different domains, or actually, I came to you with probably a handful of domains. And prior to the call, you rinsed me and you said, don't pick that industry because it's too difficult, or don't pick that industry because it's going to take too long to actually monetize that industry. But very quickly, is there anything that I or the viewers should know about when entering the rank and rent industry?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a lot more difficult than what people first think, because people are thinking rank and rent is in the local space. Going after a service with an actual location is a long tail keyword, and therefore to rank that long tail keyword must be very easy. But as you know yourself, you need to make certain you've got topical authority, and you still need to make certain you've got a backlink profile. Otherwise, you're still going to struggle to rank in the big cities. And now it's easy trying to go after a suburb, but many of the times the local naming domination comes to the biggest city. So it's still not easy. It's easier than affiliate and easier than certain terms, but it's still a lot more difficult than what meets the eye.
Okay, that makes sense. And then when it comes to, I'm kind of going one step ahead here, but when it comes to actually finding somebody to rent that website out to, what is it that you look for? Is it because in some cases there's industries that we've seen before and we're like, that's really good, but in the UK there might only be 2 people that actually provide that service. What's some criteria there?
So something that you could do, which we can talk about on different monetization methods, is you can build some of these sites out to be a directory site. So what I mean by that is you could go and, let's say you're going into doing a carpet cleaning business. You could go and get 50 different companies, go and do a review of all 50 companies, and then start to do the kind of roundup articles with the plural of like best carpet cleaning companies in New York, best carpet cleaning companies in Miami. And then you can list those 1 to 10. And then what you can then start to do is rent out the number 1 spot and the number 2 spot at a price. And maybe the number 3 and number 4 spot could be a little bit cheaper. But then within time, as the site starts to generate some more inquiries, the actual review page could be ranking well. And some of them then might be saying, look, on the review, you've given us a no follow backlink. could we pay to have that as being a do follow? But what then the reason why I say sometimes having these directories is quite good to have is because you can then start weighing up what companies are willing to pay some money. Because some feedback that I get is that there's certain people that can rank certain websites in the rank and rent space, but they struggle to monetize it. But they've only gone out to one or two companies. Now, those one or two companies might not be good enough at converting the leads. So if you built a kind of directory, you might be going out to 20 or 30 companies. And then in time, you could start shortening the list down that little bit more of being, here's my top 3 companies. And all the ones that are underneath it could go right at the bottom of the article where they're probably not going to see it. So, and then obviously those top 3 companies that you know now are paying will be paying on the rank and rent method. But I think it's interesting to touch upon that it's not as easy as what meets the eye of just going out to one company, they'll rent it out for £5,000 a month and that's it, you've done it.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that I want to show people as well is I want people to see what we're actually talking about as well. So I've just pulled up 2 different directories. This is obviously in the UK. They also have a US website as well. I think it might just be freebestrated.com, the US version. But this is Free Best Dentists in London. And as you can see here, they've got 3 different companies. They've got some hyper-specific data to that business. So every single page is actually unique. Obviously, they'll have dentists in Manchester. So if I just swap this out as well, I'm certain they will do. Yeah. So 3 different dental practices, and they've got it for every single town in the actual UK. Then in the US, I've just searched New York lawyers. You've got the likes of like Justia.com, America's Top 50 Lawyers, bestlawyers.com, findlaw.com. So in this case, I would probably say that there's actually it's a 50-50 split between actual law firms and actually law directories in the top 10 results. But this is what you're basically meaning, right? So you've got like the premium listing here. This guy's probably paying, let's say, a couple $1,000 to Justia. This guy might be paying, let's say, 1,500. This guy might be paying 1,000. This guy might be paying 900. And then you've got the free listings here. And then you've got a few more sponsored listings. So this is kind of, in a sense, like PPC, but in an actual directory. Because if I was to like refresh this, let's say 10 times, there might be different lawyers. As you can see, it just swapped out. So you've got that system as well that you can definitely go out to. So this is more of like the directory style. It's not necessarily just a sole rank and rent.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, not only that, is if you start to do some of the reviews of each one of those lawyers, and you're trying to rank for best lawyers in New York, you're now gaining topical authority, because what you're doing, and you're also doing like brand jacking. So you're starting to rank behind position number 2 or position number 3 behind their brand for their company name. And some of these lawyers might be getting 2,000 or 3,000 monthly searches. So if you can get the hyper specific data of having the address and stuff of what they do, then yes, forms part of your topical authority of your site.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what do you think that would be the best practice? Would you do like more of a rank and rent for one business, or would you try to build out a directory style site?
It completely depends on the niche in the market and whether someone would be willing. So what I would do personally, I would start off with the directory side of doing it, building that out, building up my topical authority. But then what you then could start to do, if there's certain pages that you know are getting a lot of clicks, you could go out to one of the companies that are already paying you some money to be number 1 spot or number 2 spot and say, look, we've got this page and it's not a plural. So it's not like best carpet cleaning companies or best lawyer firms. It could be not like a specific kind of service of what they provide. So it could be, in this scenario, father's rights lawyer, right, in New York. And we might be able to rank, not listing all of them, and just put that one company's details on that page. And we know that page is getting 2,000 clicks a month. Well, they'll know from running PPC how much a click approximately is worth, which could be, let's say, $15 per click. that page then potentially is worth, that one page could be worth $30,000 for the one page, just from if it was going to be the same price as what it would be for PPC. So when they start looking at it that way, if you was to turn around and say, I'll rent you that page out for $5,000, they'll snatch your hands off, because they'll think that's a $30,000 budget type PPC term for $5,000. But obviously you've got to get those rankings, and that might be for a difficult term. If you bring it down to some easier long tails, the clicks might only be $2 a click, which means the PPC value is worth $4,000 on the page, and you might be able to rent that out for, let's say, $1,000 a month. So you've just got to try and work out what you think is good value. You've got to try and make certain your customers are getting a return on investment, otherwise they won't carry it on. And then work something out that works well for both parties. You could end up renting a site out. It depends on the niche. Some for $1,000 a month, some for $50,000 a month, depending on how well you rank the website.
So just a couple of questions before we move over to the actual websites, because one thing that I also want to show to you guys is the actual thought process of what you're looking at when it comes to building out a website. But what you've basically said is you would look to build out a directory, especially if it's a niche that you're a little bit uncertain of. Build out a directory, go out to, let's say, 100, maybe even 200 different companies, try to get them listed. Once you've then got them listed, build out actual dedicated pages like this. So you're actually gaining topical authority for lawyers in London, let's say, or lawyers in New York. And then once this page starts to rank for New York City lawyers, you would then potentially go to one of these guys and say, like, hey, we're now ranking for this keyword. Do you want a premium listing, or do you want to be the sole company on that website? Would you, at that point, once they agree, would you then look to build out a second website, or what's the thought process then?
Yeah, so further down the line from there, once they like the leads that you're generating them and you're making them a return on investment, further down the line, then they might say, we also do this service, and it could be something to do with child's rights. It could be to do with divorce lawyer. It could be to do with something very specific like personal injury attorney. There's lots of different kind of niches that they might be in, that they might say, look, we make a lot of money on this service, and we generally work in Florida. So then what you might then decide to do is you might build a site which is like Divorce Lawyers Florida, and build that out just for all the main cities and areas that are in Florida: Miami, Sarasota, Orlando, West Palm Beach. You might want to build all those location pages out for Divorce Lawyer, which then just all go through to that one client.
Right.
But to start with, you need to try to make certain you understand and you've got a relationship with the lawyer before building out a dedicated site. And that's where, to start with, you might want to go with the directory site, because then you're dealing with anything from 20, 30, 50, even 100 different companies. And generally speaking, the cream rises to the top. And from there, then you can then start to build out more sites for that one, well, in this scenario, one lawyer firm.
So am I right in saying that you're kind of going a little bit broad to begin with, and then once you have that relationship with that law firm or with that cleaning company or with that landscaping business, you then look to actually scale it back? Like I've just pulled up this website here, for example, right? So we've got like practice areas. So this is the type of services that this law firm actually provides. So for example, you've got construction site accidents, car accidents, boating accidents, wrongful death. There's a lot of personal injury stuff. So this probably tells me that personal injury is pretty lucrative.
Yeah, for sure.
But then let's say, for example, if I was to load up this guy, there might be, let's say, there might be different services. So you're trying to essentially go into law to begin with, and then you might say, well, actually, these three, like immigration law, might not be that actual. From monetization value, you might not actually gain that much, but from, let's say, personal injury, you're like, oh, actually, I'm going to double down on that on my second and third and fourth website.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, immigration law, there's serious money in that as well. Like, majority of these industries that you're looking at within, we've just looked at obviously the lawyers, but like that's some of the most lucrative kind of markets that you can go into. On the smaller scale, let's say you went into, I'll give you a prime example. If you went into reputation management
Yep.
as being a service in an industry, if you want to try to be position number one on Clutch, which is similar to best free rated that you were showing up, if you want to be number one on that page, normally the price to be number one just on the best reputation management company's page on Clutch costs you $20,000 a month. That's how much the cost is for that specific one page.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you've got obviously top reputation management companies. So the Clutch, by the way, for anybody that doesn't know, it's very similar to Justia, but this is for a lot of different like industries. So you're telling me that some of these guys, they're paying boatloads of money to Clutch every single month just to be on this page, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is kind of similar to Parasite SEO in a sense. Obviously, you're paying for the actual listing here. Right. Okay. So now that I know that, I've obviously sent you through a couple different domains. We have got rivetedlandscapes.com. We also have fatherrights.org, which again, both of these websites, they are listed on Odys. So if you guys are interested, head over there and purchase them. But what was it about these two that you were like, these are pretty decent industries?
So Father's Rights, obviously, it's an exact match domain for you then to be able to go into Father's Rights lawyers, Father's Rights attorney. They both get search volume, and basically from there, then what then you can start to do is it's a very, very, very lucrative industry. So if you can start ranking for those terms, and obviously having keywords in domain is a huge help. But then from there, then you could then start to do exactly what we've just shown there on the lawyers, just the lawyers. You can then start to get all the different lawyers on there that do father's rights law, and it's a great way of monetizing it. And then from there, then like you said, you can then start branching off to see what other type of law that they might be doing with regards to different services. So I just thought it was quite a good name. I thought it's not too difficult to rank for within it, and yeah, that was my thought process behind it.
And then what about riveted landscapes? Because that they're two completely polar opposites. You've got one in law, you've got a lot of white collar stuff going on there, and then you've got more of like a hands on deck approach here, where it's just like men in vans, like going to location. What's the thought process behind this?
So I do quite a lot in landscaping, so I'm a little bit biased towards it. So what I would do on this is I would go very, very, very broad, and I'd do every single service that landscaping does. Now within there, you've got hard landscaping and you've got soft landscaping. You've got things like planting trees, hedge trimming, cutting grass. You've then got on soft landscaping, it could be like artificial grass, it could be playground surfacing. On hard landscaping, it could be roadway surfacing, car park surfacing. So there's all these pathways, these cycle paths. So they've got all these different terms that you can go after. And what you can then start to do is list all the different landscaping companies, and then they will start telling you where they start making money. So within landscaping, just one industry which is very lucrative is like tree pruning. So that could then fall underneath there. And if you find a good like landscaping company and they come to you and say, oh, by the way, we make a lot of money on tree pruning, from there, that main site, which is broad, like you mentioned before, going after lots and lots of different services on that first site, from there, then you can then go and build an exact match domain like treepruning.com or treepruning.org or treepruning.net or whatever's available. But this first one, if you can try and get like an ODYS domain that's already got some age, that's already got some power pointing through to it, it's giving you that head start and giving you that boost in rankings that will take you a long time to do with regards to with a brand new domain. And also with a brand new domain, you don't know what industry you want to go into yet. So a lot of the time I use ODYS domains to test and go broad. And because it's got a backlink profile, it means that I've got more crawl budget, which means I can build a bigger site. And as I build that bigger site, then I can then start doing the testing to see, okay, what landscapers do I want to work with? And then start asking them, where did they make the most profit?
Right. Okay. So then, once I've started building out this website, the next step is obviously monetizing. And let's say I'll pull up two different examples, and we'll see if there's any difference here. But let's say I decided to go with a landscaping in Orlando, right? How are you finding companies? How are you doing the prospecting of companies to say, right, I'm going to go out to these five, or in this case, like what you mentioned at the start of this video, these 20 different companies to actually either rent them out a website or actually even get them listed on the directory in the first place?
So what I used to, I'll tell you what I used to do, and I'll tell you what I do now, and I'll tell you why I used to do it, which make logical sense, and why it completely failed. And for anyone who's watching this, hopefully you don't make the same failures as what I did. So I used to think that I would only go after companies that was paying on PPC or that was on page 2, because I was thinking to myself, if they're on page 1, they're going to say to me, I'm generating my own leads and I'm fine. So I was looked at page 2 and beyond, and I looked at PPC, where now I just say, I'm going to load in every single keyword that I think's good, and I'm going to click on every single site, and I'm going to go out to every single company that there is, because there's some of them that are ranking position 1, 2, and 3 for their own websites, but there's lots of long tails that they're not ranking for that they still want to generate them inquiries for. And the fact that they are ranking well means that they do care about the site, they've probably got good branding, and they actually convert better. So I used to try to not do it because in my head I just had, they're already ranking number 1, they probably don't want my leads. And actually some of them are the best clients that you can have. So what I do is I go to everyone in the GMB, I get like the top 20 businesses in the GMB, probably get the first 30 rankings in organic SEO, and anyone that's paying on PPC, I get every single one of them. I know that the local there, in this example to Orlando and landscaping, I go to every one of them and I just see whether they're interested or not.
Right. Okay. Well, so the interesting thing is I've done a video. The previous video was actually what you mentioned, what you were doing a few years ago. But it's interesting how you're actually now going through to it. So you would go through to every single one of these, and you would just contact them. What are you doing? Are you phoning them? Are you sending them an email? Are you filling out the contact form? What's the process there?
The best thing you can do to start with is the contact form. Instead of emailing them, because sometimes email goes into the junk, the contact form always inboxes. And also inboxes to the person that's dealing with the leads. Now, they're normally like a sales manager if they've got an office. So they're hungry for leads. So when you start telling them, we might be able to generate you some more leads, they then, if they're a big company, they then might go to their managing director saying, look, this company is saying that they might be able to generate us leads and we can have a listing on their site. Are you interested? To start with, we don't mention any price. We just say, look, we can give you a free listing. Now, the free listing is, you're going to be bottom of the list. You don't have any link through to your website. But if they start giving us the details, we can then start to upsell and cross-sell and get them higher up the page and stuff like that. But we just want to test the waters to start with, not asking for much, just saying, do you want a listing on our site? And then from there, then that's when we start with the upsells.
Okay, and then what about if it was just for a generic website? What if it wasn't for a directory website and we're just trying to sell them, or not sell them, but set them up on a ranking rent?
So we'd say we're generating leads in your area. We do quite a lot of work that you're not dealing with at present. So we might be saying, if we was dealing with a school, we might say we build modular buildings, but if we're having to relocate a classroom, we might need some soft landscaping. Would you be interested in doing soft landscaping for a school? Well, obviously, if they do soft landscaping, of course, they're going to say yes. So then you start touching upon that and you say, so if we generate you some inquiries for soft landscaping, would you be able to deal directly with the school? And then we say, you can price it for us if you want, but our overheads are quite high and we would probably be adding 40 or 50% on top of your price. Or shall we give you the details to go directly through to some of our clients which we're getting inquiries for? And then would you be able to add as a margin on? Well, they'll say, well, 40-50% on top of our price is quite expensive. So then we then come to some sort of agreement. Can you add 20% on or 15% on? And then they might say 15% is the maximum. And then we say, look, we'll send you the leads directly. You add 15% on top of your price. And then that can be our kickback of what we can get. Once we've been working with them for a few months and they're used to paying us, at that point we then might start setting like a rental price up to say, look, if we want to keep this going and maintaining this going forward, why don't we set up the last 3 months you've been paying us $2,000 a month. Let's set a rate at $2,000 a month for now. If you make any more than that, let's just like kind of put it in the bank, but let's assign $2,000 a month as a rental, which then we know what we're spending to try and grow it further. And normally they'll say, yeah, because they've already won some jobs, you see. So, and because they've already won some jobs and made some profit, they're like, right, okay, we know this is working, and yeah, all right, we'll do it. Where if you first try to do a rental of a site and they don't know how many clicks you're getting, they don't know the quality of the leads, it's a struggle.
So then, just a few questions on that, and then I think you've covered a lot, to be honest. But you're renting the website. You're not actually charging them cost per lead. Why is that?
Because the hard part of doing a cost per lead is that you get a lot of fake inquiries. So you get a lot of competitors filling in the form, like wondering who it is. And then your client ends up ringing your sales team up saying, I don't want to pay for that lead, right? And what starts to happen is your staff have got a toxic relationship with the customer, because the only time really they speak to the customer is when they're moaning about not wanting to pay for a lead. Where for us, our relationship with our customers are great because they're not worried about any bad leads because they just delete them. And as long as we keep generating them leads and they're getting a return on investment, they're not worried about the bad. All what they're doing is saying they want more of the good. And all what we talk about is the good inquiries. And then we try to understand, okay, what does a good inquiry look like? How can we keep growing it? 50% of cold web leads on average are either fake, or they won't answer, or for some reason there is no budget. So if they're starting to understand that and say, just delete it, stop moaning about it because you're not paying per lead, and just move on to the next lead, the relationship becomes a lot better. And that's the main reason why we don't do a cost per lead basis.
Right, okay, that makes sense. And then you've obviously been mentioning a lot on like the different models and stuff like that. So you've got like the rank and rent model. We obviously do have affiliate. You've got ecom and stuff. Is there any other ways that you could potentially think of like monetizing, let's say, a law website? Because I remember specifically talking to you maybe about a year ago, and you said that you could actually monetize one website multiple different ways.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's upsells, downsells, and there's cross-sells. So that's within the same industry or with neighbouring kind of industries. So what I mean by that is, I'll give you a couple of different examples. If you're in pensions, you could then start to understand if someone's looking for a pension, generally speaking, they're probably 55 plus because they're looking towards the end of the career and getting their pension. You might look to sell or say, are you interested on the thank you page? Equity release, like releasing some equity out of your house to go on that perfect cruise around the world that you've always wanted to do, or your daughter's getting married and you want to take some money out to give your daughter some money, or you want to pass some money down to your kids for saving on inheritance tax. There's lots of other industries that you might be able to, like funeral plans, because you know the demographic that they're an older person, you might be able to cross-sell other services. So what I would say is make certain you're utilising your thank you page with upsells and cross-sells. That's a big one. There's some other things that you could do now. I don't do this too much, but you could do display ads if you wanted to. You've got Ezoic, AdThrive, Mediavine, Google AdSense. The only issue with that is a lot of these display ads, they take over the site and then you lose you lose out on quite a lot of inquiries that could be being generated. So some people like doing it. I'm not a massive fan. Is there any products that any of your customers sell and you could make affiliate commission on there? That's another way that you could do. If one of the ones that me and you went through before was funerals, and with regards to being a funeral director, you also might be able to upsell funeral insurance. If you're doing appliance repair as being on a website, you might be able to upsell appliance insurance and stuff like that. So there's lots of different ways of monetizing stuff. You've just got to think to yourself who the demographic of the viewer and user is and what else might they want. There also might be some lawyers that would love to rent your Facebook pixel. So you go and put a pixel on your website and you can rent the pixel out and then they can do retargeting on their own Facebook. So there's that's what some lawyers do as well. So there's lots of different ways if you dig deeper. Check out a link. Kaz's got an amazing article on how many different ways there is to monetize an article. So I think there's something like, when me and you went for everything, there's 24 different ways of monetizing a website.
Yeah, there was a lot. So a lot of people, they just look at the top four, which is like ranking rents, e-com, affiliate, and like service. Yeah, the display ads. Sorry. So there's so many different ways that you can obviously monetize a website. And then very last question, because you've mentioned this a couple times, and I think that this is really important in what you do, especially as well, is once you have that speaking relationship with that potential rank and rent client, you do a lot of digging in terms of like you ask them like what their most profitable services are. And it's not necessarily for your own benefit, but it's for the website's benefit, because obviously if you're renting out that website, you need to make certain that, first of all, it makes sense to rent it out, and then second of all, it makes sense for the actual client to pay you. But can you expand on that a little bit, because I've seen you in meetings and stuff like that, and you dig down into like, okay, what's your most profitable service or what's your most profitable product, etc.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, let's use the example that we're on there with landscaping, right? Mm-hmm. We do a lot in landscaping, right? So we started to deal with one or two hard landscaping and soft landscaping companies, and then they started to tell us that if ever there's problems with drainage, they can charge so much more money when there's problems with drainage because they can put geogrids in. So I was like, well, what's a geogrid? And they're like, oh, well, it's like this kind of plastic kind of mats that you put in, you put the stones in, and then you can do these soakaways. So I was like, hang on a minute, keep talking. So I'm writing geogrids, soakaways, and I'd never even heard of these terms. And this all formed part of being the groundworks. So basically, when you start to put some of these terms in with regards to soakaway drainage and stuff, if they start to get any of those type of jobs, which normally form part of like an architect's specification, yes, the search volume is a lot less, but when they get one of them, instead of them making £5,000 to £10,000 profits on the groundworks, they could be making 20 to 30,000 profit. Mm-hmm. So we try to make certain, okay, how can we get more of these? We need to make certain, because they are very, very long tails, that we need to be able to rank for those terms. So it's just little things that like, you start listening to them, you've got to sit back and listen and let them talk. And they just come up with things that you go, I don't even know what you mean there. Can you just reverse a minute? What did you say there? And then you just get all those terms down. And this goes way beyond SEMrush and Ahrefs. This is digging deep into what they're telling you, who are experts in the industry, that you cannot find doing normal keyword research. Like these terms are being used so much more than what you think. And then you start in Google Search Console. You've ever heard the term zero search volume keywords? We've got so many keywords that Ahrefs will say zero search volume, and there's getting hundreds and hundreds of clicks every single month. And they're the really, really high paying clients because it's exactly what the client wants. So what I'd say to you, one of the best things you can do is get a good sales manager who actually speaks to the clients and listens to them. That's the best keyword research you could ever do.
Yeah, it's the thing is, some of the keywords, even if they get like one conversion or one web form conversion, a month, and let's say that's a 10 grand job, that's 120k in a year. And Ahrefs and SEMrush and stuff like that, they've obviously got like a minimum search filter. So if keyword gets X amount of searches, that's when they'll actually show it as actually getting searches in Ahrefs and SEMrush. So can definitely be a little bit wrong in terms of that. But is there anything else that I need to know prior to building out my rank and rent site?
So apart from that, it's just building it out correctly. So make certain you've got a proper, a good mentor. If you don't know what you're doing properly, go and get yourself an ODYS mentor who's good from building out to steps 1, 2, and 3. So what I mean by that is technically building out a well-built site, making certain you've got good quality content, topical authority, and good base foundational links, just to start getting that velocity back up. Yes, you've already got some referring domains from ODYS, but you still want to try and get those base layer, get some more naked URLs, some more branded links, some more links to that homepage, get that velocity going back up as your article velocity is going up as well.
And just a quick question on the actual SEO side of stuff, because we've spoke more so about the how to monetize and the business side of the ranking rents. But in my head, if, say, for example, if I was going to do a law website, I'm thinking going down the one subtopic within law, like let's say, for example, immigration law, answering all the questions that I could possibly find on that. So that will be in a separate video, like building out a proper topical map for that. Then from a link building point of view, I'm thinking maybe about a couple hundred to 300 directory sites, and also doing a press release. Is there anything that you think from what I've said is wrong from a strategy point of view?
No, that's exactly right. So, like, don't go too broad to start with. Exactly what you just said. Start off, let's say, immigration law, cover that topic in its entirety. Do not move on to another category until that topic is completed. So, like, you're brilliant at doing the topical maps. Go to somebody like yourself, get a topical map. There might be 62 articles there on a topical map that needs to be done. Go and get them 62 articles done. Go and get the press release. Go and get the citations and business listings. And then you might then, for certain pages, decide that you might want to get some guest posts and some link inserts or whatever might be needed to some of those new pages. But yes, to start with, you're getting that velocity up, you're getting the naked URLs, you're getting the no-follow, which then is going to start allowing you then to start hitting it with some more do-follow links as well further down the line.
And then I think that this should be the last two questions. Content velocity. Are you worried about that? Are you publishing, let's say, if I'd done a topical map tomorrow and I realised that there's, let's say, 75 articles, am I uploading those in a certain priority? Because, for example, there's guys like Kyle Roof. He says that you should upload your main service page first, and then you should start stagnating all the pages. So there's at least some freshness every time Google comes to your website.
I absolutely love content freshness, but I also love speed. So what I would say is, generally speaking, if you need 72 articles being written, all 72 articles are not going to be written in a day. But if you've gone and written, your content writers have gone and done 4 articles today, go and get all 4 uploaded. If you go and get 4 tomorrow, upload all 4. If you can do 6 a day, go and upload all 6 a day. Because then what I would be saying to do is, once you say, yeah, but James, within 3-4 weeks, I've uploaded all 72 articles, I'd go, great. Now start on the next neighbouring category. And Kaz has just done a topical map, and there's another 64 articles that you need to go and write. So you go and start writing those. You've also then further down the line, you might want to be writing guest posts. So your content writers could be doing those and linking through and stuff. So for me, yes, I love content freshness, but also you've got to remember, content freshness comes in by going back into existing pages as well. And I think not enough people go back into, some people just publish an article and that's it done. I love going back into an existing article 2, 3, 4 months later, and you start seeing certain queries that show up for, or certain questions that's not even on the page. And by adding that onto the page and then answering it concisely, then you're going to start jumping up for those terms as well. So going back, you can get the freshness from going back into existing pages as well. There's also ways that by going back into the old articles, because of new articles that you've written, you can add more internal links throughout the article properly. When you first upload an article, you can't be doing the internal links to all the others. So you're always going to get that freshness if you've got an editor that is going through the whole site and making certain that the site is well written and it's got that query defines freshness.
Right. Okay, and that makes sense. And then the last question that I've got is let's say, for example, if I'm looking at a father's rights, right? Is that okay to build out a law website? Because a lot of people they're a little bit scared, or they don't know in which angle they can rebuild that website. They think that if it's a bakery website, it needs to be 100% about baking. Is that the case with age domains?
No, it's not. I'd say if it's previously about fathers' rights lawyers and they do more than just fathers' rights, you can go broader than that. Your only issue is the more you start going wider, the more topic dilution that you have. So it becomes a lot more difficult. You've got to be very good at silo structure to keep links within your categories. What I would throw back to you is how much money can you make in fathers' rights lawyers? And if you can get that site to earning 30, 40, 50,000 pounds a month just for that one term, I'd keep it just on that one term. I wouldn't go too broad, and I'd just be the best I can be in that one kind of industry and in that one service. And then if they do others, I might decide to build some other sites out. Where if you go with one big massive site and you go too broad and you get it with an algorithm update and all the money's gone all at once, it's a bitter pill to swallow.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much for doing the mentorship call with me.
No problem, Kazra.
So that has been today's video. If you guys have enjoyed it, please remember to leave a like. And like what I mentioned at the start of this video, if you guys want a free mentorship call, I believe they're giving away 2 free mentorship calls. Make certain to check the link down below and sign up to the Odys mailing list.